Well, I am officially possibly in big, big trouble. Not FCC related, not political related. It's the Tuesday before Valentine's Day, and I forgot to make a reservation at our favorite restaurant. And it is just, I called last night, and they were laughing at me. They were laughing at me. They're like, you think at Tuesday before Valentine's Day on Saturday that you can get a reservation with us, you peasant, and you call us now? And I said, well, can I get on a waiting list? Like, do you have maybe a cancellation list? Yes. And they said, yeah, there's currently 296 people on the waiting list, you moron. Wow. So I may be in big trouble, Chastity. Yeah. It slipped my mind.
Well, it came so fast.
It did. I've been busy.
Yep. I have been the same way. I'm not completely got all my kids' Valentine's stuff, so I'm still kind of gathering.
Yeah, but see, you're the girl. You're not supposed to. It's the guy's responsibility to proactively plan a Valentine's Day. And so Liliana made it clear to me that I've got less than about 4 days to get this figured out. Oh. So I'm wondering, I'm thinking about this, and so I'm now, obviously, you get your top tier destination, which is your restaurants, your go-to place. There's several places that we love to go to, several places that we really enjoy. Those are all off the list, right? Your La Gradas, your Osteria Oleos, the places that you wanted, the nice steak houses, the McKendricks of the world. Those are off the list. You call there asking for a reservation at this point, they're like, you don't even have a chance. You can't even get in for breakfast at those places. You're fired. So then you got to go, and I'm not a chain guy, right? I don't really do the Longhorns of the worlds or the Outbacks. I love moms and pops. Yeah. I love small sole proprietors. That is my favorite type of restaurant. So I want to go to the individually owned places. All those are pretty much booked up. So now I'm kind of getting down. I'm thinking like, does Potluck maybe have,
I think even though Waffle House is doing something for, just very exclusive, and even their books. So, yeah, you may be in trouble.
I'll do Scattered, Covered, and Smothered. That's fine. I'm thinking I may have to call Mike and Brett over at Strickland's and see if Strickland's has a dinner special.
Get you a filet.
Roll out the white carpet or the white tablecloth. Oh, mercy.
They'll take care of you for sure.
Yeah, I got something. I got to figure this out. It's going to be rough. I don't know why I waited this long, but it is what it is. Great show in store for everyone today. Bubba Longrear, he's a gentleman running for state school superintendent, will be joining us shortly. A friend of mine, Chuck Studebaker, best last name in the history of last names. He's going to be in studio. Yeah, great guy.
That's so fun.
He's a regular guy. We're going to come up. We're going to talk business, sales, talk about his family. That'll be a lot of fun. In the second hour, our very own Mitch Swan will be in studio. I told Mitch, I said, hey, you're coming in, and typically we talk about pretty big stuff when Mitch comes in studio. We talk about international things. Mitch has a really good grip on what's going on worldwide. Mitch has the show. He's curated his own show for today. So I'm going to kind of follow Mitch's lead.
Hey,
yeah.
I like that.
I just have to remind him of FCC regulations because Mitch is a Marine.
Oh, yes.
I would say former Marine, but every Marine will tell you once a Marine, always a Marine.
That's right. Amen.
So, but we're going to have a lot of fun with Mitch. We've got a great lineup, though. Every now and then I like to preview what our lineup is on WMOQ.
Yes.
Coming out of the gate, 6 a.m., Billy Brew in the morning brew.
Wonderful show.
Yep, great way to start the day.
Yes.
Fun, cheery.
Yep, he's got a lot of great energy.
He does. To be doing that at 6 a.m. with his enthusiasm.
He gets here at like 4, so that's pretty.
When does he sleep?
Drooling. That's hard.
Yeah.
I would be crawling.
He's got to be running on fumes. But he gets us kicked off 6 a.m. to 8, and then, of course, 8 a.m. was when Tim Bryant comes in. That is Georgia's morning news. Tim is just a fantastic news show. He'll cover everything from local stuff to statewide stuff to nationwide topics, right? He's got a myriad of things that he goes through, and he can cover sports. He covers it all, politics, you name it. And then, of course, our show, 12 to 2, the Marc McMain show, really based upon interviewing people within our community.
Yes.
Not just elected officials, not just candidates for office, but we love to hear from pastors of churches, any leaders of faith, business owners, anybody with a great story to tell.
Yeah, community leaders.
Yeah. Or just regular folks.
Sheriffs.
You don't have to be anybody special to be on this show. Just got to have a great story to tell. And if you want to be on the show, reach out to Chastity. info@wmoqfm.com. Let her know what your claim to fame is, who you are, and how she gets in touch with you, and then she'll review it. And if you pass the litmus test, you get on the Marc McMain Show, and we'll have a great interview. And you can call in, or you can come in person.
That's right.
Sit in the hot seat.
That's right. I like the in person. I think, being able to meet everyone is
do too.
That's so special.
You know what I got to be more cognitive of is I realize sometimes we have guests on this show that have never been on live radio before, and there's a nerve factor that goes with this. And I remember years ago, the first time Julio invited me to come in and interview me in person,
Me too.
I was nervous beyond belief.
Me too. He says, "Don't worry, I'm going to lead you through it all, Chastity. You'll be just fine."
He made it so cool, didn't it?
He really did. Yeah. I mean, it was like you didn't even think that you were on air. So yeah, I get those. I understand those nerves. So
well, and I see it, and I it slips my mind sometimes because I'm so focused on my show prep and what we're going to talk about, and you do such a great job of getting the person seated, get their headset on, get them all ready, geared up to go live on the radio. And then we'll begin talking, and I'll realize there is a nerve factor at play. So I think I've got to get better at kind of calming my guests down, putting them at ease. Whatever Julio's trick was, I got to learn that trick.
I think you do a great job.
Well, it's a learning process. So we love having these interviews. It's a lot of fun. It's what makes the show is what it is.
That's right. And Julio's here. His spirit is here guiding us every day.
That's right. He's looking down upon us, and he's probably laughing and saying, "You bunch of morons."
Yeah.
And Mark, I can't believe you didn't get a reservation for Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Julio would have known better. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Great show in store. A couple little things I want to talk about. First off, so I was going to talk about the diet, but I went north on the weight today. So yesterday wasn't necessarily a good day for me. So that's beside the point. I was doing some research, as I have been doing, on healthy tips, and I found an article on Fox News that talked about some of the unhealthy snack foods that we would not think are normally unhealthy, right? And one of them, and this isn't really a snack food, this is in the condiment category. It has ketchup listed as one of them.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a ketchup guy. Mm-hmm. So if I have, if you ever get the Waffle House French fries, how they've got the not the Waffle House French fries, the Chick-fil-A French fries are like a waffle cut.
Yes.
You can almost use them as a spoon when you're getting your ketchup, where you actually have more ketchup than fries.
Much?
I do. Yeah. So it talks about, there's high sugar content in the preservatives that are in ketchup.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, okay, I need to back off the ketchup. That's easy. Flavored yogurt. Are you a yogurt girl? Do you eat yogurt?
No, not at all.
Even the flavored ones?
Not at all. Can't. I'm not a big cheese person, so even like dairy. So I'm
thick dairy, sour cream, none of that
not,
stuff. Okay, I love yogurt, but flavored yogurt does have different things in it. Not just the sugar, which is there, but it's the additives, which can be problematic, right? Some of the things they put in the yogurt, maybe to keep it preserved, can be bad for you. Soda crackers. Who'd have thought soda crackers?
Oh, yeah.
But it talks about the ultra high processed stuff, which you and I remember the whole food diet that I'm kind of kicking on.
Sure.
Crackers have a lot of high processed wheat and different things that go into it that make them unhealthy. Candy bars, that's a no-brainer. Everybody knows candy bars aren't good for you. Why would they even list that?
I don't know.
It's like, you got to be a moron to not know a candy bar isn't good for you. But here's the other one, ice cream cones. I'm a huge ice cream guy.
I love ice cream cones crushed up in my ice cream.
Okay, so you'll eat the cone even without the ice cream?
I love it.
So,
yes, I do, actually.
Well, and I love waffle cones, yeah.
Yeah.
But it talks about, once again, ultra-high process. So I share all this to tell you, so the other day I did not have time to go get my normal fix from Stone Mountain Pecan, which I love their array of fresh nuts, pecans, almonds, walnuts, every nut you can think of they have there. You can kind of mix and match, make your own little snack mix. We've talked about that on the show. I didn't have time, so I went to the store and I bought just a pre-made bag of nuts to kind of have as a little between meal snack. I forgot to scan it. You remember the app that Liliana told us about, the Yuka app?
Oh, yes.
Where you can scan a product and it'll tell you not just about the sugar and the fats and the sodium, it'll tell you if it has harmful additives to it.
Right.
So I forgot to scan this in Chastity. I got it home and I scanned it, and Liliana said, never again, not this one. Yeah. I'm not going to say the name of it, but it was a bag of like salty, sweet, you know.
And see, I'm a go-to nuts like that too, so.
These were good. They were tasty, but it had bad stuff in it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Everything is just packed full of just bad ingredients.
Yeah, yep, no doubt.
Well,
And then one other little side note I saw on Fox 5 Atlanta, they had a little discussion about America's favorite pet. I guess there's a competition going on, and the America's favorite pet is a pet. Well, no, there's somebody that's putting their dog into this competition. They're from Dunwoody. The pet's name is Cleo, 2-year-old. What is this? A 2-year-old husky Finnish Spitz mix. Okay.
wow. Okay.
Never heard of a Finnish Spitz. So I didn't see a picture of the dog. I'd imagine it's cute, but it made me think, about my dog, Max. Max is a Puggle, which is a Beagle Pug mix.
Aw.
He was a rescue pup.
Oh.
Yeah, now Max is getting up there in years. So I'm going to go ahead and throw Max up on the WMOQ Facebook page later today
Oh, good.
and see what people think of Max.
Oh, I love it. I
I
can't
love
wait.
him. He's my boy. He's a good pooch. Marc McMain Show. When we come back, Mr. Bubba Longrear will be online with us. Hold tight.
Looking for that perfect piece of jewelry designed just for you? At P&A Jewelers, family owned since 1976, we've been helping our customers shine for nearly 50 years. Now proudly run by second-generation brother and sister team, we specialize in custom jewelry design, expert repair work, and fine jewelry for every occasion. Visit P&A Jewelers, where family tradition sparkles. Located in Loganville beside Quick Trip, or online at shoppajewelers.com. Follow us on Facebook to see what's new.
These days, many think that truth is relative. You have your truth and I have mine. Speaking your truth means staying true to who you are. It may be how you feel, what you believe, or how you identify. Truth, by definition, means conforming to a fact. Two contradictory ideas can't each both be true. One may be true, one wrong. Or both may be wrong, but they can't both be true. To say so is logical nonsense. So with all the fake news and opinions flying around, how can we know what's true? At Jesus' trial, Pilate cynically asked, "What is truth?" And Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." He's not claiming to be one truth, but the truth. Soon after Jesus spoke these words, he rose from the dead. That's enough to convince me that Jesus tells the truth. This is Bryant Wright, speaking right from my heart.
To subscribe to Devotions, visit rightfromtheheart.org.
John Supermarket in downtown Monroe is proud to serve the Walton County community for over 50 years. 3 generations of the Thompson family offering the freshest produce, quality meats, everyday essentials, and now featuring Bistro South, a quick service restaurant with freshly made Southern cuisine and ready-to-heat gourmet meals. Always proud to support local farmers and suppliers, John Supermarket has the best meat in town and tons of weekly specials. Stop by and see them for all the ingredients, meals, snacks, sweets, gifts, and everything in between you need.
And welcome back, Marc McMain. Our first guest of the day is Dr. Fred Longrear, goes by Bubba. He is a candidate for state school superintendent. Bubba, thank you for joining us today, sir.
Thank you, Mark. My pleasure to be here.
I figure what we'll do, I've got a few questions queued up, but let's start off by letting you tell our listeners about yourself and maybe your background, your 30-plus years in public education.
Yes, sir. I have spent the last 30 years of my life in public education. Most recently, the last 11, I've been a local school superintendent in Candler County in southeast Georgia, Metter, Georgia. I've been a teacher, a coach, assistant principal, high school principal for 7 years, special ed director for 7 years, and then the last 11 again as a superintendent here locally.
Is that where you grew up? Is that home for you?
No, I went to high school in Thomaston, Georgia, Upson County. I was a 1990 graduate of Robert E. Lee, and then went down to Georgia Southern and played football there and kind of entered the education career upon graduation.
Yeah, it's interesting when you look at the path of somebody like yourself who spent really the majority or their entire career in education. It's so critically important that we have good people in these roles because this is the formative years of our future for Georgians. And I love the story when you've got somebody like yourself who've been committed to this process from day one. Now, what's interesting about this, Bubba, we've had many candidates on this show running for various offices, both statewide, regionally, and locally. This is a race where you have a handful of competitors, but you're also challenging an incumbent. So kind of walk us through that, the motivation to get involved, and especially in challenging somebody who's currently holding that seat.
Yes, sir. We do have an incumbent in that role for the last 11 years, and expected to finish this year out. But I've had several people reach out to me feeling that there's a need for a change of leadership at the Department of Education, and feel led to do that. Bringing my experience as a local superintendent, I think understanding the budgeting challenges, the boots on the ground with community engagement, engaging families would bring a good perspective. And I'm the only candidate in the race who has been a local superintendent.
Well, and I think there's a consensus amongst Georgians that the bar has to be raised. Look, there's a myriad of things that always need improvements in any capacity. I don't care how great a person is in their role, an elected official. Once they're done with their office, even if they left that office better than they found it, somebody else needs to step in, pick up the ball, and advance it, right? Keep making it better. In this situation here, I think there's a lot of people that feel that Georgia is behind in certain areas. Where do you stand on that?
I was sharing the other day with a group that there's a lot of really good things going on in public education in Georgia. There's some communities that it truly is the lifeblood, and I would argue that the public education system is the lifeblood of the majority of communities in our state. I feel like in this role that I'm running for, we need a person that will collaborate, bring all the groups together, engage families, engage students in determining how can we best serve these students that are, in reality, the future of our state and our country.
Well, we are blessed with great school systems. I think when the counties are able to focus on themselves locally and improve locally, that's where things flourish, right? So sometimes the local governments don't need so much influence from state government. The state governments don't need so much influence from federal government. So I'm a firm believer in that. Let the localities pick their direction and make their improvements. But when you look at overall performance on a nationwide scale, depending upon the metric you're using, Georgia is sometimes in the middle of the pack when it comes to education. What improvements do you think can be made in that capacity to elevate us to the top? Because we are a state that is so strong in so many different facets. Bubba, people want to come to Georgia. And I'm not talking just from neighboring states. People are coming to this state from New York, from California, from up north, because we have now been put on the map as a wonderful destination, mainly in part because of the leadership that we have had, right? We've got people in place that have done a good job for us. So what do you think are some of the things that we can improve upon as it pertains to education?
Yeah, again, I think, the superintendent at the state level's role is to collaborate with local districts, to collaborate with legislators, to collaborate with the governor's office of student achievement and other entities and say, all right, where are we struggling? Where do we want to get better? And truly pull together, create a vision along with the State Board of Education to say these are some priorities where we have to get better as a school system to ensure that Georgia does continue to be the number one state to do business and to raise a family.
You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest, Dr. Fred Bubba Longrear. He's a candidate for state school superintendent. Bubba, let's talk about school safety. I know that's one of your priorities. Tell me about that.
Yeah, when you think school safety, initially your mind goes to protecting the students from an outside evil threat. And that is a reality in Georgia and as a whole in conjunction with our legislative body has really done some things to strengthen that aspect. Something that I really want to focus on, Mark, as the state school superintendent, is supporting our teachers in creating good learning environments. And when I talk about that, there's examples of an isolated student or a small group of students maybe in a building that are disrupting the learning of others and causing teachers to not want to be in the profession. Mm-hmm. I feel like we've compromised our student behavior expectations to some extent in trying to pacify everyone, whereas we need to take a firm stance that we're not going to allow students to behave in a way that would cause them to not be successful beyond graduation, not interfere with the learning of others, and then also cause teachers to want to lead the profession.
I think that's fantastic. I've had so many school educators on our show, Leaders in School, whether it's principals, teachers, some on the school board, that have talked about just that thing, that when you look at Oconee County, Walton County, Barrow, and some of the surrounding counties, there is a zero tolerance policy for bad behavior because you cannot have that disruption. So I like the fact that in our neck of the woods, the schools are taking the steps to be sure that if you are disruptive, you're not going to have a place. You're not going to have a chair in that system. You're either going to get better, you're going to play by the rules, or you're going to be gone. And I think that's critically important because you don't have to travel far, Bubba. In our area, if you go back into Gwinnett County or DeKalb County, you have some school systems that are allowing for this, and it's creating an environment where not only is it disruptive for you as a student to learn when you have somebody that's not behaving in your class, just like you said, the teachers feel like nobody has their backs, and the teachers want out. So that's something that has to be fixed. You're right. That's a big deal. What about the trade side of this? So many of our principals that we've had on, that we've interviewed, have talked about I'm not going to say a shift. It's just adding the element of being sure that we're pushing, hey, you may not want to go to college, right? You may be a young man or a young woman, and you realize that there's a different path for you, that going to a 4-year university may not be the best fit for you. You know, how do we prepare you to either go to work in a trade industry or perhaps get enlisted and go serve our country?
Yeah, I think that aligns so much with one of my priorities, Mark. You know, 25 years ago, we kind of fell up under the notion that every child needs to go to college to be successful, and it's just false. We see so many people that are skilled in their craft, that have a good work ethic, that have received the training that they need to be successful in starting a business or working for a company in the trades, that are making more money than a majority of our college graduates, that are producing more, that are really giving back to society. So I want to be very deliberate in preparing students for careers, and just as a parent would with their own individual child, as school leaders, identifying the strengths that these students have, what their interests are, and doing everything within our power to provide the training and the skill sets that they need to be contributors in society, and minimize the number of students that are getting a high school diploma and then never really producing, never really contributing back, and they wind up being takers from the system instead of contributors. Yeah,
that's it. I had, I think it was Lindsay Allen on the other day, principal of Walnut Grove, and he was talking, hey, when we graduate you, we want you to be employed, enlisted, or enrolled. There you go.
Yes.
I knew it was 3 E's.
Yeah.
Lindsay's probably chuckling right now saying, how did you botch that one? It was simple. 3 words, Mark. You didn't get that's I'm a product of the public school system, but I think I've done okay. Yeah. But I love this effort now to be sure that kids know, hey, if you do not make it to a 4-year university, you are not failing. There's other paths for you to be extremely successful. And I can tell you this, Bubba, if you were to put in a room some of the most successful people that I know, there is a generous portion of them that did not take the 4-year university route. They either went to work right out of school, or they enlisted, or they went to a trade school, they did something else. So there are multiple paths to being successful. Marc McMain Show, our guest, Bubba Longyear. He is running to be the next state school superintendent here in Georgia. Bubba, this is a statewide race, so I can only imagine you are crisscrossing the state, visiting different communities and visiting with parents and visiting with principals and superintendents. What are some of the things that you're hearing? What kind of keeps bubbling to the top?
Yeah, you know, as I go around and speak to different groups, and I have been all over Georgia and just met some wonderful people, but a lot of people are concerned about, you know, the indoctrination, the woke ideology, the behaviors in schools that are tolerated, that are maybe swept under the rug for the sake of performing well on our CCRPI assessments and so forth. And they're asking for leadership, and they're asking for somebody to step in and empower their local districts to take a firm stand truly do what's right for kids to benefit not only the students, their families, but their communities. And being that so closely aligns with what the way I've done and as a high school principal, as a local school superintendent, I'm excited about the opportunity to do that across the state and empower local districts and help Georgia as a whole.
And Bubba, if somebody wants to learn more about you, your campaign, maybe where you're going to be next, so if they want to meet you in person and ask questions that are important to them, how do they find out more about you if they want to support you?
Yeah, my website is Bubba4ga.com, Bubba4Georgia.com, and I would love for them to reach out. They can email me directly on that website, and I'd be glad to talk to anyone, or if there's a group that wants me to come speak to them around the state, I would be glad to do that as well.
Do you have anything planned? I know you came through recently. Do you have anything planned in the near future in our neck of the woods, which is, say, Athens, Lake Oconee, Walton County? Anything that comes to mind right now, or did you need to visit the website? I don't want to put you on the spot with that, but I know you're probably all over the place.
Yeah, I'm right now. I'm living about 12 hours ahead of my calendar, but I am going to be up in the Gainesville area, northeast Georgia, in the next little bit. I'll be at the Capitol in Atlanta tomorrow, speaking to a group, and probably visit the website. I have a Facebook page, Bubba for Georgia, and would love for people to follow me there too and get that information.
Well, I appreciate you doing this. I appreciate you stepping up. We need somebody that's going to keep elevating every aspect of Georgia, and education is top. That's front and center. So I know this is a daunting task running for a statewide office. We wish you the best on the trail, and keep us posted as this is going along. And if you know that you're going to be in this area, reach back out, let Chastity know. We'll get you back on real quick, and you can promote that event so people can come meet you in person.
Absolutely. It's great getting to know you previously and then talking to you today, Mark. Thanks for what you do.
Absolutely. I appreciate you, sir, and best of luck on the trail.
Thank you so much. Have a great one.
Yes, sir. That's Dr. Fred Longrear. He goes by Bubba. He is a candidate for state school superintendent. And go take a minute, research him, learn more. These are big
Yes.
races that are coming up. You think about when you go to the ballot box and you start making a decision as to who you're going to vote for. I don't care if you're a Republican, if you're an independent, if you're a Democrat. When you're looking at a position like this that is going to be at the helm of our education in the state of Georgia, you've got to be sure that you're picking somebody who has the number one mission is making our students better, making our education better.
Making a difference.
Not appeasing some group, not appeasing. Of course, we don't really have a union down here, but not appeasing somebody that has an agenda. This is just being sure that we get the right person to be sure that our kids perform better and that they're better prepared once they graduate from high school. Do your research, folks. Be sure you're casting that right vote. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. When we come back, my buddy Chuck Studebaker will be here in office. Don't go anywhere.
When looking for new shoes, the place to check out is K&D Shoes in Conyers. Family owned and operated for over 30 years, offering one of the largest selection of shoes for men, women, and for the kids. From name brands like Ariat, Rocky, Georgia Boot, Hey Dude, and others. You'll find everything from casual to work boots all under one roof. Be sure to see their great selection of outerwear from name brands like Carhartt, Ariat, and more. Need athletic shoes? Then see their great selection from brands like New Balance, Brooks, Reebok, Hoka, and more. Open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sunday from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. That's K&D Shoes, 2250 Dogwood Drive in Conyers. Call 770-483-9037. Or to learn more and see their great selection, go to KNDShoes.com.
You ever roll out of bed and feel like you lost a fight with a tractor? If your back's barking, your neck's complaining, and your knees pop louder than a box of cereal, it might be time for the Joint Chiropractic. There are no appointments, no insurance mess, and no sitting around all day. You just walk in, get adjusted, and head back out feeling human again. Now serving Covington and Monroe, whether you've been hauling, hunting, working, or just sleeping funny, the Joint Chiropractic keeps you moving smooth and feeling right. The Joint Chiropractic, because snap, crackle, and pop belong in your cereal and not your spine.
And welcome back, Marc McMain. Our next guest, my buddy Chuck Studebaker. Chuck, you and I met, good Lord, over 2 decades ago when you were selling advertisement for the Savvy Shopper.
Yes, that's absolutely correct.
We were kind of competitors for a minute there, and then kind of maintained contact throughout the years. The first question I have for you, have you already botched Valentine's Day like I did and forgot to make a reservation for dinner on Saturday night?
That's this Saturday. Man. All right, it struck out again.
So you and I are in the same boat, it sounds like. I think it's Waffle House for me and Liliana. Maybe Crystal's, I don't know.
Oh, don't do Crystal. Do Waffle House. Or you could stay someplace local.
Yeah.
You go to Campton's.
Oh, Campton's rocks. Yeah.
That would be a great place to go on Valentine's.
Great customer of ours, too.
Right?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Was just there this week.
I wonder if he has a good, Valentine's menu. We got to text Josh and see what his Valentine's menu is.
I bet
see,
he does.
See if he can get him on to come on Thursday, and he can do a little preemptive deal. You know what, though? I bet you he's already booked for reservations as well, Chuck. So if I strike out there, too, I'm in trouble.
Well, get there early, get there often.
Well, let's do this. Start off, tell our listeners a little bit about you, kind of, if you want to go back prior to your time selling advertisement. I know you've had some different things you've done in your career, and I know with a last name like Studebaker, you've had some connection to the auto industry.
You got to be careful, because if you know what a Studebaker was, I know that you're over 18.
That's right. Yep.
So it's a cool heritage to have. I did get into the car business. It was one of those things, nobody gets in the car business unless their dad owns the place.
Yeah.
Because they want to do it. They've tried a lot of other stuff, and they go, well, I guess I can do that.
Yeah. It's a good backup.
That's how I got into it. I started selling cars almost 35 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, was your father in this business? Was he?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
It was, again, one of those things that I didn't know what else I was going to do. It's like, all right, let's give this a shot. So I actually spent 18 years working for Saturn.
Wow. Okay.
One of the first 3 salespeople at the store that I started at, and loved it. I mean, it was phenomenal. It was a great time.
And people may not remember, Saturn was a brand that you did not negotiate.
That's correct.
When you went in, the price was the price, because we're all accustomed to rebates and deals and specials, and you go in and you got to go back and forth with the manager and the sales rep. Saturn was a different model.
Right. Different kind of company, different kind of car. The whole goal was, and they found this out from the research, people hated that back and forth. Just give me a good price, build the value in your product, and we'll decide if we want to buy it or not. So it made for a really interesting, it was a lot of fun. It made for a really interesting buying process. People were happier when they left because they didn't feel beat up, run through the ringer, do all those kinds of things that typically happen.
But see, I enjoy that. I enjoy that back and forth, that negotiating, that victory that you feel if you got the great deal.
Here's my problem. I like it too.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a great way to get into the industry and learn a lot.
What going because you were there 18 years?
Yeah.
What was their ultimate? I don't know if you call it demise, but yeah, any automaker that goes out of business, there's a demise there. So what happened? What happened with the brand?
I have all kinds of theories. I've got a conspiracy theory, and I've got what really happened.
Because they were all over the road.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It wasn't hard to find a Saturn.
Yeah.
In fact, there's one in your parking lot right now.
Are you driving one?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so what year is it?
I've got an 07 Saturn Aura. It's only got 60-some-odd thousand miles.
Still running.
The one's great.
07, it's 20. It's going on 20 years old.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that like an all-American made car?
So
Saturn?
this one, Saturn, that's how originally it started.
Okay.
The whole Saturn process was that the GM, Ford, Chrysler, they were all doing a horrible job against the Japanese imports.
Right.
They couldn't build a small car that competed. And they had a clean sheet of paper. And the funny thing was that everybody talked about Saturn being a separate company. Yes and no. It was owned by General Motors. They had a union contract, but the union contract would literally fit in your back pocket. It wasn't volumes big.
Gotcha.
It was straightforward. I mean, so everything from the beginning to when you finally got to be able to sell a car was all new, different than had been done for decades. But the whole goal was to treat the customer differently, let them have a really great buying experience, and then they'll come back.
Yeah.
I've always said I can sell one car to one person. That's relatively easy.
Sure.
Selling them a second car, you got to trust your team. You
that brand loyalty too.
Department.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to have a car that people want to come back to. So, what really put Saturn down, one was not having the right mix of vehicles.
Gotcha.
And for the first 10 years, it was one small car. Now, we all believed we had many of them, but it was just a small car. We had a coupe version of four-door.
I wasn't even aware of that.
version.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I thought there were several models.
And then mid-size car around 2000, SUV around 02. But again, it was a few years late.
Yeah.
It should have been there sooner. So starved for product, and then you had the crash in 08.
Was that their ultimate demise then? They
Yeah.
didn't survive that?
So for GM to get the money that they needed to survive as a company, they had to let go of some of their brands. Saturn, Pontiac, Saab, Hummer. They all went away. And of course, Oldsmobile had gone away a few years earlier. And so that's where they were left. And Saturn went away, left with 4 brands: Chevrolet, Cadillac, GMC Truck, and Buick. Buick survived because Buick is a premium name in China.
Okay.
And so you can't ignore one of the largest groups in the
Sure.
world.
Yeah.
So
and there's still a loyalty here in the United States,
Oh,
too, that
absolutely.
love that brand.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, but the conspiracy is that the plan all along was to get rid of Saturn, because if you look at the amount of money that Saturn got back in the 80s, you had people that may have worked for Chevy or for Buick who didn't get that money for their products.
Interesting.
And by the time you get to the late, by the 08, 09, 2010, now you've got people that are in leadership roles with General Motors. It's like, okay, who do we not want? Well, we don't want those guys. They took our money.
Right.
Again,
Interesting.
Speculation, conspiracy theories.
You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest, Chuck Studebaker, talking car business here. You know what's interesting, too, is I find that many manufacturers now have just completely left sedans off the roster. Ford being one of them. I guess they still make the Mustang, but they don't make the Fusion or the, what was the other one that they made?
The Taurus.
The Taurus was kind of their big one. They're now SUVs and trucks.
Right.
That's where a lot of these places are going. So do you think the American-made sedan is a thing of the past now?
It's working its way that way, but the funny thing is, you know who still builds sedans?
Who's that?
Honda, Toyota,
Sure.
Hyundai,
Camry, Accord.
Kia. They're all building sedans still.
Yeah, and they've built such a brand loyalty. And the other thing that I think is smart that Toyota and I believe Honda has done, of course Kia is doing this, is they have manufacturing facilities here.
Absolutely.
In the United States. So it kind of changed that dynamic of this. Is it really an import anymore when it's a job here in the United States? Some of the products are actually crafted here. So, yeah, I think that was a brilliant move by them. So after sales, what did you do after Saturn?
I've tried to find myself, stayed in and around the car business. So I did some fleet and commercial stuff, and then I got myself out of retail and did inventory financing. So when you see a dealer that's got cars on their lot, they typically don't own all those cars.
Right.
They finance them with a
They
company
have a
like
floor plan.
Exactly.
Yep.
Thank you for knowing that it is. A lot of people I say floor plan to, and they say, well, I want my desk over here. No, that's not it.
Right.
And so now I actually work for a company that does end-user financing, work directly with dealers to help their customers get financed. And my customers are not the ones that get to go to the big banks. My customers are the ones that need a little more help than that.
Yeah, a little more moms and pops type establishments. That makes sense. So my father was an executive with American Motors. You remember?
Oh, yeah.
With Pacer, Gremlin, Matador.
Yep.
That's what actually moved us from Michigan down to Georgia in 1980s. He got a promotion to be a zone manager with American Motors. And then it wasn't long after that American Motors went belly up. Matter of fact, he ventured out on his own and opened his own dealership in Augusta. So it was a full-blown AMC, and they were partnered with Jeep, of course, Jeep and Renault back then. And then a couple years after that, they went bankrupt, and it was a catastrophic moment for my father. He basically lost everything, had to rebuild himself mid-40s. And so fast forward to when I graduated high school, my buddy calls me, my buddy Marc, and he says, hey, I got a job washing cars at Conyers Toyota. Would you like a job? And that was my very first job out of high school, was washing cars as a porter.
Right.
And then I got into sales for a little bit, and then I went in. Got into the martial arts industry and shifted. But it was a great experience. But that was car business. That was a tough time in the late '80s back then too.
Absolutely. So, and I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were from the state up north.
Oh yeah. Well, hey, forgive me for that. I'm a Georgia boy, and I've been here for 45 years.
Well, I've been here for almost 30.
So where's home for you?
Ohio.
Okay. I was just north of you, Michigan.
Go Bucks.
Yeah. Oh man, I blew all the way.
That's okay. I forgive you.
I get 2 chances to win. So I'm a Bulldog, and then if the Bulldogs have a good season, then I got the Wolverines. And so 3 of the past 4 have come my way. right? Think of it that way.
You got to take it.
Yeah.
You got to take it. My oldest went to UGA.
Okay.
But he wore his Ohio State stuff to any game he went to.
Oh, I'm sure he's beloved.
Oh yeah, people love him. But yeah, I actually went to a small school in Indiana, so I'm an Ohio State fan, but I didn't go there.
Yeah. Well, good. Look, it's funny too. I love college sports. Something has happened to me. We're going all over the place with this, but something's happened to me where I don't watch the NFL like I used to. I'm much more interested in college sports. I don't know why this has happened. I've always been a fan of both, but over the past couple of years, I will now rearrange my schedule to be sure I watch a Bulldogs game. I'll maybe catch a quarter of a Falcons game, in the NFL season. So it's I don't know why that's happened. It's not a political statement. It's not like any reasoning. I've just kind of lost interest.
Yeah, I loved watching what IU did this year. And they've never been a football school.
It was good for football.
Yeah, it was great for football.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys wanted to win. I watched the Super Bowl the other night. I think they were just happy to be there.
Sure.
But to watch kids, because that's what they are.
Sure.
Go out and fight and try to win like they did. It was a lot of fun watching.
It is. It is a lot of fun, and I thoroughly enjoy it. Marc McMain, my buddy Chuck Studebaker, just catching up on all kinds of stuff, talking car business, talking education, college. Chuck, so go back to your career. What was next? Because I find it interesting. You and I were talking before we started the show today about, you heard the interview with Bubba Longrear talking about kids graduating from high school, and maybe not every kid is going to take the path of a 4-year university. And you were sharing with me the story of your children that they all kind of did something different.
They did. So my oldest went to UGA. He's a wealth advisor. It's exactly what he should have done. He needed that formal type training that he got by going to UGA.
Yep.
My twins, I've got boy-girl twins. My son is a Gwinnett County firefighter paramedic.
Good for him.
And he actually just finished paramedic school.
Congratulations.
It's fan. I love what he's doing.
Yeah.
Never would have told you that's what he was going to do with his life. But it's amazing watching what he does. I mean, he has literally had people's lives in their hands. He's delivered 2 babies.
Wow.
And he's had guys that he's had to do CPR on.
So he's seen
some. He's seen both. He's seen both ends of that spectrum.
Wow.
And then my daughter went to Gwinnett Tech, and then did some additional schooling at Lanier Tech. My daughter right now works for a company in South Carolina. She's building a submarine.
Get out of here. So what is her role? What does she do?
She's a welder.
So she's a welder, and she's working on a submarine. Is this for United States Navy?
Yeah, it's a Columbia class. If I remember correctly, it's a Columbia class sub.
This is too cool.
Yeah. Now, the joke she made with the guys she worked with, and the guys are really careful because she's the only woman on the ship.
Yeah.
And so she was working on one part of the HAB unit, which is the habitat area where they're going to live.
Okay.
And she's like, I can't believe it. You guys are making me work in the kitchen. Yes and no, she's building the kitchen. But they didn't know how to react to that. They're like, sorry, we don't mean to make you do that. But, I mean, she's a phenomenal welder.
That is so impressive.
Yeah.
That is so. Without sharing with us any secret earning side, but just ballpark, I would have to imagine she can make a pretty darn good living doing this.
Yes.
And so you think too, to go to welding school, was that a 6-month or 12-month journey? Do you remember?
So it was about 18 months.
Okay.
So at the end of her first semester, she got a job, and she was working. She was going to school first half of the day and worked the second half of the day.
Okay.
She was working for a company in Lawrenceville building medical boxes. She finished up with her schooling, was there for a couple more years. She actually bounced around more than I would like her to, but she's been wanted every place she's gone. The company she's with now found her.
They found her
on LinkedIn.
Really? And would you say that now where she's at in her career, where she's actually hands-on building a submarine for the United States Navy, is this the pinnacle of a welding career, or is there something else that she maybe, is there, you hear of underwater welding, I'm not saying that's what she wants to do, but is there other stuff that's even higher up?
I think she continues to get more certifications, so there's more stuff that she can do. She actually turned down a job before she took this one.
Okay.
It was a little company out of Texas. You may have heard of them. They're called SpaceX.
Why she turned down SpaceX?
She said it was too clean.
Too
Wow.
clean. She wanted a little more hands. So she wanted her hands
wanted
dirty.
to get
Awesome.
dirty. I mean, it's really fun watching her and seeing what she does.
Chastity, this is
That's
a girl
cool.
after your own heart.
Yeah.
You as a pilot.
She is tough.
Yeah, Chastity,
Yeah.
she's our resident.
Yeah.
She wants to climb the tower that you saw coming in here and help fix an antenna. And if I
Yeah.
wasn't able to keep her reined in, she'd be climbing that tower, Chuck.
Well, I think it's probably harder to find somebody to do what she does than to climb a tower. So you got to stay where you're at.
She is. She's a rock star producer. Well, this is fantastic. Mark McMain Show, Chuck Studebaker. We'll take a quick break, come back, continue our conversation. Hold tight.
If you're selling or buying a home, you should call AM/PM Septic to inspect your septic tank. This could save you on costly repairs. AM/PM pumps your tank, fixes septic alarms, drain lines. They can fix any problem you're having with your septic tank. Call 770-231-7979. They do inspection letters. AM/PM is family owned and operated, licensed and insured company. Call David for all your septic needs. 770-231-7979.
Big news, Georgia drivers. DJ's Collision is on the move and is proud to announce their brand new home in Madison. After many years of service in Social Circle, the same team you know and trust is back with a fresh new look and location to serve you best. From flawless paint jobs to complete bodywork, DJ's Collision is where your car gets a second chance to shine. Check out their brand new location in Madison at 1231 Woodcraft Road. That's DJ's Collision. Give them a call at 770-760-8214.
Double D Plumbing is a local-owned, licensed and insured plumbing company in Loganville. You can reach Double D Plumbing at 770-466-8370. They have the ability to take on any plumbing job regardless of size or difficulty, with experience in all phases of plumbing, including commercial and residential, tankless heaters, sewer cameras, and drain cleaning. Call Craig Shepard at 770-466-8370 or visit them on the web at ddplumbinggeorgia.com. You're going to like the way they flow.
And welcome back. Mark McMain, my buddy Chuck Studebaker, and I kicking some subjects around, and I just saw our very own Mitch Swan walk in the studio. And Chastity, the first thing I noticed with Mitch, he's got his game face on.
Always.
He's coming in with a plan. There's a mission. And I told him, I said, you're kind of leading the way today, so we're going to see where this goes. It's going to be a lot of fun. Chuck, first off, proud of your kids. I love the journey that each one of them is taking. And again, fascinating what your daughter's doing. It's we have talked about it ad nauseum on this show about young people going out and looking at other avenues to pursue a career. And there's a path to make what I would call very good money and do something that you enjoy doing. And your daughter's living. It sounds like all three of your kids are living their dream, but just fascinating. You never think of a girl out going and being a welder.
Right. She actually is on one of the web pages for Gwinnett Tech.
As like a success story.
The pictures that pop up because there's so few women that get into that.
Right. Yeah. Well, they need to do a whole bio on her because I think that could be a door opener for other people. Love that. Something else I noticed, and I know Chastity has some things queued up as we're preparing the conversation today. You used to live in Gwinnett County, so now you're a Walton County resident, right? Live in Monroe?
Thank heavens.
Amen to that. Yeah. But you were in Gwinnett, and at one time you ran for school board. What was the motivation in that? What were you thinking as being part of that?
So couple different things happened. First of all, both my grandfather and my mother both spent 20 years on the school board in Ohio. So it was to serve that way was something that I expected myself to be able to do.
Sure. Okay.
The other part was that I had spent the previous 6 years serving as PTA president, elementary, middle, high school. A lot of guys don't do that. Usually we dump all that on our wives and let them handle it. The principal asked me to do it, and I said, yep, I'll do it. I'm in. So I got to be really, really involved.
Okay.
More so than what a parent might normally be.
Right.
And I think that we miss the boat sometimes with getting men involved in their kids' schooling.
Yeah.
One of the things that I did very first PTA meeting, we wanted to expand our playground, and we had the money to do the playground. We didn't want to spend the money to have to just move dirt.
Right.
And so first big meeting, I kicked all of the wives and teachers and mothers and kids out. It was me and the dads.
Okay.
And I said, guys, our wives don't think we're going to step up when it's time. And here's what I'm going to ask you. We need to move some dirt out back and get this space ready. And I had to go. Guy raised his hand. He goes, "Bobcats in the parking lot. Let's go." I said, "We need to step up when it comes to our kids. We need to do that." And so we got it done.
You got buy-in from the dads. Yeah,
just like that.
Yeah.
And the other thing we did a big spaghetti dinner, and the guy who had done it, the chef who had done it for us, refused to do it again because he was there till midnight cleaning because everybody left. And I said, I told my board, I said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this. I'll convince him to do it, but I'm going to promise him that by 9 o'clock everybody's gone. We're walking out the door by 9 o'clock. And I said, I'm going to get the dads to come in and clean
up afterwards.
And a couple of the ladies on my board said they won't do it. I said, they will, because I'm going to ask them. I'm going to tell them what I want and how long I want them. If I do those two things, they'll show up.
Yeah.
At 8:59, we walked out of the building.
Wow.
So you got the dads to buy in on that too?
Absolutely.
All right, the first question I've got for you, Chuck, was it clean?
Well, it was Chuck clean.
Because
it may not have been wife clean, but it was dad clean.
But that's impressive that you got him to step up and get involved.
They'll get involved. You just have to ask. Now,
Yeah,
the
I agree.
response I get a lot of times is from women is, but we don't have to be asked. I get it.
Right.
You're wired better than we are.
That's right. Yep, I get
But
that.
if I ask, Mark, if I ask you to do it, I'm going to expect you to.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be there with you.
And you're right. You get buy-in. People want to be involved in improving whatever it is, especially when it comes to something like this, what you're doing. People want to be involved in that positive aspect. So, and that's what it sometimes takes. It sometimes takes a fire starter, if you will, somebody that says, hey, I got to rally the troops. And you'd be blown away as how many people raise their hand and say, yeah, I'm in. I'll participate with this.
Absolutely. So you asked about my school board run. I didn't win. Part of me is really happy that I didn't, because I would have been on that board for COVID.
Yeah.
It would also have made it a whole lot tougher for me to move out of the county when we did. But I lost pretty handily. So bad so that I got up in the middle of the night a week later and looked at the individual precincts. Because I'm like, there's no way that I didn't get votes in some of these areas. Somebody had to have messed up and pressed my name by mistake. Nope.
Well, let me ask you this. Was it a partisan race? Did you have to declare a party?
It was a partisan race.
And so did you lose in the primary or you lose in the general?
I lost in the general.
Okay, so you lost against a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, again, we've seen that shift in politics in Gwinnett County over the past decade plus. So I'm not really surprised that I don't think that's an indictment on you. I think that's just an example of the political shift that took place. Because if you remember around 2020, was it 2021, when they actually fired their school superintendent, the legendary school superintendent. So there was a lot of changing going on in the Gwinnett County school system at that time.
Yeah, and part of me has felt like my loss was the impetus for that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was probably the harbinger of what was coming.
But the cool thing was I got more votes that year than my predecessor, who had been 6 times he won. The incumbent had been in there.
Okay.
I got more votes than he ever got. So I felt really good about that.
Sure.
Again, my opponent got more votes than me, so...
No, it is what it is. And so I think, again, just the conversation I had with Bubba Longrear before your interview, before I was sitting down, we talked about that shifting dynamics, and especially as it pertains to something he hit on I really liked was being sure that teachers knew that the school system had their back when dealing with an unruly student. That's a big deal. That is probably one of the more disruptive things that takes place when you have kids that come to school and the last thing they're interested in is learning. And they don't want to just be disruptive on their own. They want to take some kids with them.
Of course.
And so they have to address that. And we have principals that have been on our show that have talked about that very thing here in Walton and Oconee and Barrow County, and it is zero tolerance.
As it should be.
As it should be.
You have to say, no, you can't do that. And so many of these kids have never been told no.
Yeah, you're right.
That they can't do that here. This is not the place for that. You want to go home and act a fool? That's between you and your parents.
Yep. Yeah.
This is not the place for that. Because fast forward a few years, you are going to have to go work with somebody, and they're not going to put up with that nonsense.
You pray that they go to work.
Well,
that's another issue that we're dealing with. You listen to the Marc McMain Show. Chuck Studebaker having a conversation. Chuck, did you get to hear the interview with Bubba? There's several people that are running for state school superintendent to challenge the incumbent. That is that's kind of unusual when you see this, because typically when you have somebody holding office that you don't see many challengers come, and if there is, there's maybe one. In this case, I want to say that the current incumbent, Richard Woods, has 3 bona fide challengers coming his way. We've had 2 of them on the show. I've got one coming later in the week. So we've already had Misha Maynor. She was a former Democrat out of Atlanta. She was in the House of Representatives, flipped to become a Republican for many reasons, but one of them was the Democratic Party's direction on school choice. That was a big deal to her. We just heard from Bubba, and we've got a gentleman, is it Richard, what is the name of Chastity? I'm going to let you look that up. But we'll have the third person coming on. That tells us, when you have that many people coming after you, that tells us there is people are not happy with the direction that is going right now. So for somebody who has ran for school board, what are you paying attention to? What are you looking at?
I want somebody who, and I heard Bubba talking, I want somebody who is going to care about the direction of our kids. And it's about our kids, and not, it's our kids' next step and not the school superintendent's next step. You know, oftentimes people get into politics as, okay, what's my next thing? What's my next thing?
Right.
The guy who beat me is running for something else. I'm not at all surprised by that.
Sure.
Because that's the plan. It shouldn't be your career. It should be, I want to serve and I want to get out. Let somebody else do this. I think that teachers need to have a safe place to teach. One of the things that I talked about when I ran, I hate that teachers have to bring in their own supplies.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about.
I mean, you're a business owner.
Yep.
Do you have people that, do your employees have to bring their own pens to work?
Chastity, do you bring your own pens?
No.
Only if it's one you love.
You know, I do have favorite. I'm a pen lover. But,
Chastity, there's a whole box of them back there if you need it.
we've got plenty of supplies here.
But that's just one of those things that just seems so backwards to me.
Oh, no, I get it. Yeah, you're right, because people have fundraisers for school supplies for teachers that don't have it. Yeah, so
here's
that's
my list of stuff that I need for my room.
Right.
And then you have kids that are set up for success. They need to be ready. You know, we spend a lot of money on hope, because we want kids to stay in Georgia when they graduate, right? That's the whole reason to put hope into place.
Right.
Keep them here. We have to get them to the point where they're ready to go, whatever their next step is. And you said it was enroll,
enlist or employed. Yep.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
I wish I would have thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is. I love that. It's a good.
I love that too.
It is.
It just
How did I forget that, Chastity?
Well, it's a lot of ease, and you got to think about it. So, but hey, look, we're sharing it, so it's already
there. We go.
catching on.
Now I know
Love
it,
that.
and so now I can tell people.
Yep.
It's contagious.
Yes,
it is a great line. Chuck, what's next for you? What do you got going on? What's on your plate?
You know, I have toyed with whether or not I want to get back into running for something. And your friend and mine, Judy, both believe that, or she believes if I'm ready to do it, she'll help me win it.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So we'll see. Right now, I'm happy doing what I'm doing. I love living in the country. Love watching what my kids are doing, and just enjoy being married to my wife of 33 years.
That's awesome. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Congratulate her. I mean, she's really the one.
She's the one that deserves battle pay.
She gets all the props for it. So it's fun living out here. I love being in Walton County. We go to church out this direction. These are our people.
You picked a great place. There's no doubt about it. We love it too, and I appreciate you coming in and visiting with us today.
Happy to do it. You let me know next time you got an opening in the schedule, and I'll show up.
Yeah. We'll have some, and we want to hear about you. So if you got something brewing that we need to be aware of, let Chastity know, and we'll get you in here.
I definitely will.
It's a lot of fun. You listen to the Marc McMain Show. When we come back, our very own Mitch Swan's going to be in studio with me, and who the heck knows what we're going to be talking about. But I promise you this, it'll make you hot under the collar.
And it'll be fun.
It'll be fun. Don't go anywhere.
This is Q92.3 WMOQ FM, Bostwick, Monroe, Madison. Your home for real country.
Looking for a deal on a new 2025 Ford F-150? Then come to last year's #1 retail volume Ford dealer in the nation, Akins Ford in Winder. Hi, this is Brad Akins, and through January 31st, take $15,000 off the MSRP on remaining 2025 Ford F-150 XLTs and Trimmers. Stock number 89625, MSRP 68758, with approved financing through Ford Credit and your 1995 renewer trade. Dealer retains factory rebates plus government fees. See dealer for details. Claim based on Ford's 2025 retail sales report. Visit us today at akinsford.com.
Looking for that perfect piece of jewelry designed just for you? At P&A Jewelers, family owned since 1976, we've been helping our customers shine for nearly 50 years. Now proudly run by second-generation brother and sister team, we specialize in custom jewelry design, expert repair work, and fine jewelry for every occasion. Visit P&A Jewelers, where family tradition sparkles. Located in Loganville beside Quick Trip, or online at shoppajewelers.com. Follow us on Facebook to see what's new.
Hey, this is attorney Bart Bitton with Bitton & Bitton. I live and work right here in Monroe, Georgia, and I am proud to serve this area. If you've been hurt in a car accident, you don't need some out-of-town lawyer that treats you like a number. You deserve a local lawyer you can trust, someone who lives here, works here, and takes care of people. So remember this, if you're ever in a car accident, be smart, call Bart. Bitton & Bitton, local lawyers you can trust.
Need a hot biscuit in the morning? You'll find that at Stripling's General Store. Need a hot lunch, like chicken, with some of your favorite side dishes? You'll find that at Stripling's General Store. How about some yummy barbecue or Brunswick stew for dinner? You'll find that at Stripling's General Store. Plus, there's ice, fuel, snacks, cold beverages, and so much more. It's your one-stop shop. That's Stripling's General Store, Highway 78 East and Highway 53 in Bogart. Open 7 days a week.
And welcome back, Marc McMain. Mitch Swan in studio with us. Mitch, you came in hot today. It's good to see you, buddy.
Thank you, man. Hey, you need me? I'm coming in. I'm your Tony Randall.
Well, you were slamming doors, coming to the building, making a big presence. We didn't even hear you coming. You're like a ninja.
Around like Gaston, and Beauty and the Beast with my big boots.
I love that.
So I'm going to kind of let you cue us up because you've done some prep for this today. When we asked you to come on, I actually have a couple things too that I'll cue up for us that I'll throw in to fill some gaps here and there. But you and I were discussing before you came on today something that was on your heart that you wanted to lead with. So I'm kind of give you the opening here.
Well, thanks. Well, you say you're unapologetically Christian on this radio station. I'm like, I'm going to lead with Scripture. And people are like, where's he going?
Amen to that. Let's go.
But there's a reason, right? I mean, have we ever lived in this country when there's been more anger than today?
Yes.
It's tough right now.
We're fighting over fraud with Somali daycare centers that were just not even buildings, right?
Yeah.
Lots.
Right.
And people are like, those are legit.
Yeah.
And so what I wanted to say is we come in here and I love talking with you. And we cover some big topics that everyone's, hey, let's fix this problem. But I wanted to, before we go in there, just kind of quote from the letter of John. So it's John 1, not the Gospel of John. I say that because I'm going to be reading 3:16 through 18. And people are like, oh, John 3:16. I'm like, nope. 1 John. But this is what he says. This is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers. If anyone has material possessions and sees his brother in need but has no pity on him, how can the love of God be in him? Dear children, let us not love with words or tongue, but with actions and truth. We're not going to hate our way out of any of this.
Yeah.
And if I just get more angry than my opponent, I'm just going to escalate conflict, and we're not getting solutions. And I feel that's where the world wants us to be. We were against the removal of prayer from school, but if I generate hate in a generation of children, they're going to be absent God by default, because as John says, God's not going to be with or in you in a heart filled with hate. So let's lead with grace. Let's back off. I'm not going to hate my brother. I might have to be the first one to say, hey, dude, I'm not angry at you. Keep screaming at me.
Sure.
But I'm going to ratchet it down and lead with grace.
Well, and I like that because I think everything that when we have discussions like this, I first off try to apply it to myself and say, okay, am I being a good steward, right? Am I leading a good example? And no doubt we all fall short of our expectations and what God expects us to do. But the question, like when you're talking about this passage right here, would you be willing to roll out the red carpet and help somebody in any capacity that maybe you are at conflict with, right? Whether it be politically, whether it be just amicably, whatever the conflict is, would you drop your guard and help somebody out? And I think that's what that tells us. And in a society where we do hold grudges, right? We have angst, we have animosities. That's not an easy pill to swallow.
Well, and you said it beautifully. You reminded me of the time when that hurricane hit about 24 months ago, and then FEMA was accused of passing up houses that had Trump signs in front of them.
Yeah, I remember
Remember?
that. Yeah.
And it's so easy to believe, whether there's truth behind it or not. It just gets that pot stirred, and instead of saying, hey, we got some devastation, we got some misery, especially up in North Carolina, can we just put the angst down?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's what I wanted to do before we got into it.
Well, it's good stuff. It's deep thinking stuff, and as I'd expect, nothing less from you. Big time deep thinking right there. What are you kind of watching? What are you following in the news? Whether it's something here locally, it's statewide or federal. There's some things that I'm looking at that I'm hoping and praying we start getting some wins. And when I say we, not just the Republican Party, I'm just talking about the movement of what we know would be good for our country and our planet. First one that came up for me, and I don't want to preempt you, so I'm going to give you one, and then we'll kind of go from there. The New START treaty between the United States and Russia. So this is where we're trying to maybe rein in this possible threat of global thermonuclear warfare, which you and I both know it doesn't matter how many warheads you have in your arsenal. It just takes one, and this is done.
Yeah, we're already got enough.
Yeah,
right,
yeah. And so it seems like Trump is pushing to rein this stuff in, because right now we don't know how on edge Vladimir Putin is. I get the impression if he was to truly feel threatened by the war, let's say Ukraine was to begin to get the upper hand, would he go nuclear?
Would he? Well, I will always keep that card on the table because just the threat keeps your enemies at bay. But when you have France talking like, by 2030, we'll be in conflict with Russia, we're going to start building our military now. That was today in the news, right? And the rhetoric they keep going up with. And again, Crimea historically had been a part of Russia for 700 years, people. You know, we have bases in Cuba, the Philippines, well, we closed a few of them, but we're all over the world with bases. And the fact that Russia's like, look, my fleet needs to operate out of there. I built it up. I've had it for 700 years. I'm not giving it back, or the Donbass regions. And I'm sorry, not everyone knows all the history of this, but this skirmish has been going on since 2014, and it resulted in the Minsk 1 and 2 accords that never got ratified. But when we started to say you're going to be NATO, that was a deal breaker. So it really is a contained thing. We didn't care back then when Obama was president. We seem to have really cared now. Maybe it's because we have biolabs over there and we're trying to protect them.
Yeah.
But, this bloodlust in the world has got to end.
Well, and I think people have to realize when you look at, going back to this treaty, which again, there's limits on how many nuclear weapons Washington and Moscow can deploy on missiles, submarines, and bombers. Does it even matter? I mean, does that really even matter when you figure, hey, you can only have 8 warheads versus 12 warheads? Who cares at that point? Like I said, it just takes one, because between these two countries, Mitch, there's over 10,000 nuclear warheads of the 12,000 that are globally. Those two countries have 10,000. I don't know how many it takes, but maybe a couple dozen, and this human project is over.
So one of the things I reflect on is, we have a 5.56 rifle in the military. We introduced that during Vietnam, and it's really designed to make believe it or not, the round tumbles when it hits the person. We want to wound people, not kill them. Why? Logistics. Now 2 guys got to carry the one guy off the battlefield because he's not dead.
Right.
So when you look at the application of nuclear weapons today and the alternative to just bringing down infrastructure through viruses and attacks on communication networks and going after that digital connection that keeps the water running, the gas flowing, the electricity going down the lines. You turn off people's utilities, you've got a whole nother mess going on in your country that takes your attention, the logistics, off fighting the enemy.
Yeah.
I don't even see the need to want to, kill them by attrition with the finality of a nuclear weapon. Because this one will keep all the infrastructure in place. I don't have to rebuild a city, and the people are going crazy.
And who knows if it ever gets to that point, God forbid. I mean, I appreciate Trump trying to take the initiative on this and de-escalate, because it is something right now with the war that's going on. It's back front and center. This was kind of a quiet subject for the past 15, 20 years, but now it's back to where there is concern with this happen. You listen to the Marc McMain show, our guest Mitch Swan. Didn't know we'd go nuclear today, but here we are. We're going nuclear, Mitch.
Late with grace.
Well, there's 9 countries that have nuclear weapons. I don't have all 9 of them, but here's a sampling of some. We just talked about U.S., Russia. China's arsenal is growing. They have 600 warheads plus, an estimated 600 warheads. The UK, France, India, Pakistan, getting a little edgy. Israel, North Korea has warheads, right?
They do.
They don't necessarily have the means to strike us here yet. They're working on it. But they do have nuclear warheads. Those are the ones that you really start shaking in your boots about.
Dude, my busiest day in the Marine Corps occurred back in 2009 when they did a detonation in North Korea. It kind of imploded the side of a mountain and set off the Geiger counters. It started off as like kind of, hey, maybe there's an earthquake over there. But my phone lit up like a Christmas
tree. So you're
tree.
active duty. You're doing your job in the military.
I was the director of the Joint Operations Center for U.S. PACOM. So who do you call when there's a crisis? Well, that number. He'll figure it out. See, it kind of looks like, obviously, if you've ever seen the movie Apollo 13, and you got the guy wearing the red vest, and you got everyone else down there on computers, and we're all looking at the big screen trying to get the lunar lander, module back. I'm the guy with the red vest for that 12 hours. And that occurred during my 12 hours.
So was there thoughts that they were actually being aggressive with this, or did you immediately realize it was a test?
No, it was just a test.
And you knew that immediately?
We knew there was a heavy explosion.
Okay.
My phone was ringing because people were like, goodness gracious, what was that? Was that nuclear? We had to get sniffer birds in the air. You get, and your son will know this, but we send up these sniffer planes. And what they do is they suck in air from the outside in the atmosphere, compress it. But then we got to fly it really, really fast back to New Jersey to get it into a lab. Right. But when you come from Korea to there, your time is really, you've only got like maybe 18 hours. So you got to step it out. So
that's bizarre. So what kind of aircraft do they use for this?
I don't remember.
Would it be a jet or just a normal?
It's a jet,
like a 737 maybe, or an actual performance jet?
It's a larger jet.
Okay,
and it has intakes. It compresses the gas. So we don't know, right? We don't know. We have like 72 hours to get that thing tested and verified, or it's just we don't know. It's just air at this point. Right, you got to get the isotopes. Plus, the isotopes kind of tell you who gave them the uranium. But, anyways, it was a busy day. You talked about some good things, though. Do they have delivery systems? I'm sure they have a few, and they can be primitive. One of the things that makes me most nervous is people don't understand the difference between a clean nuclear weapon. So we have some. I wanted to use one in Tora Bora. I was there in 2002, when just like they blew up our World Trade Centers, and we knew that bin Laden was up in the Tora Bora. So I'm like, hey, we got all these tactical nukes. Let's
explain that to me. What's the difference between that?
So it's yield and distance, right? Okay. So it's going to stay more localized.
So it's contained the radiation.
It's not Hiroshima or Nagasaki. It's not that. But it is nuclear. And, you can go in there the next day. You'll have some bad radio reception for a few days. But for the most part, it's very clean like your microwave. It's violent. It's harsh. It's effective. It's over.
Okay.
Now, if you look at our adversaries, let's go with North Korea. I'm going to believe that they certainly have nuclear warheads. But they're probably dirty. And so that's even worse. So you bring that across my border in a container or in a suitcase, or I'm going to go with container. I don't think they have the really small ones. But that goes off. That dirty radiation That isn't gone.
That doesn't
That's
dissipate
that
and it spreads.
lingering-
Yeah.
That's that lingering. We're all going to get cancer and have a miserable. Don't go in there for 1,000 years kind of thing.
Well, and other countries like France and UK have around, it says 290 to 225 warheads. This is the best that I could do on my research. Again, don't take any of this data as gospel. This is just me, who I'm not a research analyst. I just, am Googling data. But even at that, 200 warheads, that's enough to really think about it, theoretically end the world as it is. So it's just, I don't know if President Trump can achieve his goal. I don't know what that goal means, but I've obviously writing this in. But it also makes you even wonder, are they even going to be transparent, they being Russia? If he was to have some agreement with them, I mean, there's elements of this agreement that says, hey, you got to notify us when you move the weapons. Are they really? I mean, can they move them without us even not knowing? But my point is there going to be the full level of transparency that we're expecting?
Well, I don't know where the program sits. We used to have a program called Blue Sky. And what that was, when Reagan says trust but verify, what we did is annually we would open our skies and let our adversaries, in this case it was Russia, go ahead, fly over the United States, take pictures of where our stuff is. And then we're going to do it to you too, right? It was called just this open skies. And so it was a way of letting each person kind of verify where the status of things were.
Okay.
But, dude, I don't know if we have gold in Fort Knox these days. I mean, that's where I'm at. So keeping count of nuclear warheads, who knows? But, it really is suicide. I watch these dystopian shows like The Living Dead. All right, if I have all these nuclear reactors all over this is the ones for energy.
Yeah.
And you're all walking around drinking water out of the creek. I'm like, it's all contaminated at this point because no one's maintaining the nuclear plants.
Right,
I mean,
right.
You get into the how many people will die, how many rivers will die, and fish will die, and the gnarliness from that. You're going to get plagues and everything else. It's going to be awful.
Yeah. Oh, I don't want to think about it. Like I said, it wasn't even, this one wasn't even on the radar for anybody a couple years ago, but now with what's taken place, Ukraine, Russia, and the rumblings that we're hearing and maybe the mental instability of Putin and the propensity of him, is there somebody there that is a safety net to be sure that if he was to say, hey, I've had enough, go ahead and nuke the Ukraine, that somebody within his administration and in his cabinet, would say, no, that ain't happening, right?
Well, what I like, let me rephrase this. People will lose their stuff with me. What I appreciate dealing with Putin and his cabinet, I'm dealing with one country. Yeah. But when you deal with the EU, you can get 3, 4, 5, 6 of those countries to go, all right, yeah, I think we should go for a ceasefire. And then 1 or 2 jackasses speaks up and
goes rogue.
No, we're going to crush them. You're trying to negotiate with a mob at that point. If you asked me right now, like, what do I think is probably the biggest strategic concern? Mine would be China right now, this week, since we met. Because if you look at what's going on in the news, so last time I was in here, I said, I don't think they even have 1 billion people in their population.
Yep, I remember you saying that,
I'm right. You look at, cell phone services from what they used to be, what they are today.
These are little indicators that you say that,
consumption,
right.
Number of mortuaries, them closing down preschools, like 80 of them in Beijing, and that you already know their population, 53% is over the age of like 55.
Yeah.
They don't have the manpower to risk in a war. Let's say going after Taiwan. Really? That's what you're going to do with your young, vibrant workforce? You're going to send them into that slaughter bath?
Yeah.
But what concerns me is in January of 2026, so just last month, he has cleaned house on his generals. He had 2.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yes, right?
Is he executing them, or what are they doing?
We don't know where they are, and we've heard nothing from the military. But it seems like there are tanks deployed. Mobilization has certainly occurred, so maybe they're just trying to keep everyone quiet.
Where are they mobilized to?
They're outside the perimeter of Beijing, so that's kind of like, hey, I'm kind of getting in a defense here. Part of me thought it could be a feint, but hey, maybe we're going to say we have a coup, mobilize, and then we're all going to beat feet down to the beach and take Taiwan. You watch this crazy stuff. But you get so little information. Now, she has called President Putin and President Trump in the last, I want to say 48 hours, has got negotiated things with him. He's going to buy a bunch of our stuff like soybeans, natural gas, and oil. Mm-hmm. Trump loves to hear that. He invited Trump to come over in April. He wants to raise his legitimacy with his people because they're like, what's going on? You took
because they're getting hammered over there.
But he didn't just clean out one or two. He cleaned it all out, the leadership. If they went to war right now, I would say they would do a more desperate thing, like maybe a nuke. It's something severe. Let's take nuke off the table. But something more cyber attack-ish, because he doesn't have the continuity of forces right now. And so, you can attack someone cyber-wise and not have to, deploy logistically troops. And
there's no cost of human life.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest, Mitch Swan. We're going to take a quick break, come back, and I had Taiwan and China queued up, so that's a perfect precursor to that. Yep, we'll continue this conversation in just a minute. Hold tight.
Dreaming of the perfect backyard this summer? Hi, I'm Jason with Rosewood Luxury Pools. We design, build custom in-ground pools with timeless design and lasting quality. As a licensed general contractor, we handle every detail from concept to completion, so you can just relax and enjoy the process. Summer's right around the corner. Let's get ready for your pool party. Give us a call at 678-635-7276 or look us up at rosewoodluxurypools.com.
When you walk through the doors of Campton Restaurant, you're not just here for a meal, you're part of a tradition. I'm fourth generation owner Josh Parker, and for nearly 40 years, families in Walton County and surrounding areas have gathered around our tables to share stories, laughter, and good Southern cooking. From crispy fried chicken to heart-healthy daily specials, there's always a plate waiting with your name on it. We're open Tuesday through Thursday from 11 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. and 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays. So come on by, make yourself at home, and experience Campton Restaurant, where family tradition meets every meal.
Ladies, grab your girlfriends and plan a night out at Boss Brothers Country Store in Loganville. Southern Belle Boutique, located inside Boss Brothers, is hosting their Galentine's Day party you don't want to miss. Join us Tuesday, February 10th from 5 to 8 p.m. for a fun evening of sales, giveaways, and so much more. Because Girls Night deserves a celebration of its own. Boss Brothers, your locally owned country store at 3084 Highway 78 in Loganville. Follow us on social media for weekly deals and updates.
These days, many think that truth is relative. You have your truth and I have mine. Speaking your truth means staying true to who you are. It may be how you feel, what you believe, or how you identify. Truth, by definition, means conforming to a fact. Two contradictory ideas can't both be true. One may be true, one wrong. Or both may be wrong, but they can't both be true. To say so is logical nonsense. So with all the fake news and opinions flying around, how can we know what's true? At Jesus' trial, Pilate cynically asked, "What is truth?" And Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." He's not claiming to be one truth, but the truth. Soon after Jesus spoke these words, he rose from the dead. That's enough to convince me that Jesus tells the truth. This is Bryant Wright, speaking right from my heart.
To subscribe to Devotions, visit rightfromtheheart.org.
Welcome back, Marc McMain, Mitch Swan. Mitch, we were talking a little bit about Asia as we ended that first segment, and I had a story queued up that I wanted to dig into. We saw during COVID our dependency on, whether it be China or Taiwan, China as it pertains to the rare earth, the special elements that we need. And then, of course, the pharmaceutical industry that we quickly found out we're dependent upon them to get some of the things that we need to battle COVID. Yeah. And then you go over to Taiwan, and we had this massive shortage on semiconductor chips, right? Things that run our vehicles and our appliances and the whole nine yards. And it created this massive supply chain problem. I don't know that it's still recovered. There's still, I think to this day, maybe they fixed it by now, but there's still vehicles that you buy that don't have features functioning because they don't have the right semiconductor chips, or at least this was the case up to last 6 months or a year ago. So there's been a conversation from the U.S. saying, hey, we need to start pulling some of this manufacturing back, especially as it pertains to the semiconductor chips. that are currently in Taiwan saying, hey, we need to bring about half of this back. And Taiwan saying it's impossible. Never going to happen. Of course, they don't want to lose that.
A lot of jobs, right? Yeah.
A lot of jobs, right? A lot of infrastructure. So first off, I think we do need to follow through on that. And second off, that's the next military zone. I mean, this is what we think is next. The next Ukraine-Russia is going to be China invading Taiwan.
Could be. Let's talk, first of all, you listened to a presentation I gave, and I have a dear friend who wrote a book called When China Attacks, right? Grant Newsom, great guy. But, in their language in China, they don't have the word for we're at peace. They're always your adversary. They're bringing their A game. They're going full Super Bowl on you every single day across the full spectrum, and that's what we call asymmetric warfare. We're at war with China right now for dominance of the world, and people, it doesn't look like what they would expect when they hear the word warfare.
Because they go long game, too.
Long game. They want to have more allies around the world. They're doing the Belt and Road Initiative. They started that in 2013, and they didn't go into South America. Well, it started in 2013, but it's the same year when John Kerry, the Secretary of State, said the era of the Monroe Doctrine is over. Next thing I know, the biggest trading partner of South America is China, and they're building infrastructure, and they're trying to create this logistics chain around the world. Now we go up to where you said with COVID, and now all of a sudden that revealed just how reliant we are on them for the most basic stuff. Now, as I understand it with Taiwan when it comes to semiconductors, what we're really talking about, yes, they make the best semiconductors in the world, but it's those new next generation ones that we need for AI, because we want to win the AI war, right? You got to have it first or they're going to rule you. And I think what we're trying to do is that's why we're restricting that technology to China, and also trying to get it closer to home, because Chinese are great. If they figure out how you make it, they're going to bootleg that thing so quick.
Oh yeah, their corporate espionage is just out of this world.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think what Trump is doing by trying to solidify the Western Hemisphere with North America, Central America, and South America is friggin' brilliant. I think it's going to work out well down the road. But you start to look at the confidence in the world with just fiat currency. The reason gold and silver is in the news so much is people have been buying the heck out of it. It's been manipulated so long. The COMEX is running out of it. The demand now for these new solid-state batteries, the world needs over 1 billion ounces of silver just to produce the things it wants. We only mine globally about 800,000 ounces annually. So
less than 10%.
Right. So we have now we're producing about 80% of what we need, but there's a deficit of that 20, and we've been eating out of inventory that you might in another time call the strategic reserve. But when you look at the COMEX now, people are taking delivery of futures contracts like they never have before. This past January, which is a quiet month in silver trading, 46 million ounces were put up for delivery. Like, yeah, I could take the check from you, but I'd rather have the physical silver. That is 4 times more than it was last year and 7 times more than it was in the year 2024. And if contracts continue this way in March, when it's really the big heavy month of the year, we're not going to have enough silver in our vaults to fulfill requests for delivery.
Wow.
So there's what Trump is doing. I always tell people Venezuela is oil, 100%. It is the ability to make that commodity, and any others come from Venezuela traded in U.S. dollars, thereby keeping the treasury bills and notes and bonds viable for issue. But Venezuela produces 12% of all silver output for the globe. That's a big number, and China likes to get that. Our problem is China has more refineries than anyone else in the world to make fine silver. We do not.
So that's something else that we can make improvements on.
We need to start getting our mines back online, and we need to start refineries, which is why I think the vice president just 5 or 6 days ago says we want to have not just a strategic reserve, as the president has said, we want to set a floor price. Now, why is that important? Doesn't mean it can't get more expensive. But just like oil, let's say I set a floor price of silver for 100. Well, people on mines go, well, yeah, at $100 an ounce.
They can make money.
I will actually buy more equipment, hire more people, move more earth, and do that. And that's true for copper and lithium and the rare earth metals. But it gets our minds off. And then someone will say, well, at $100 an ounce, I'm going to start the refinery where I can actually start.
They can make a profit. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
And I think that's our response to China right now.
Marc McMain, Mitch Swan. Mitch, I'm glad you brought up Venezuela because I've read a report, too, that it looks like things are possibly stabilizing there. Are you hearing anything? Obviously, we had this, the capture of Maduro, which was, a month ago now. And so a lot of unknowns as to what would take place in his absence, but it seems like things have calmed down there. Maybe it's returning to business as normal, and which, in my opinion, will open the doors for this country to be prosperous and successful.
Well, I think it certainly planted the seeds of hope among the population, right? They went from the third richest country in the world to absolute poverty. And so that's good. A floor on precious metals and other resources would be wonderful to get others to come down there and help them get their mining back online even better. And then the people will benefit. We'll be buying that ore from Venezuela. But when I said that we're actually at war with China, that was, I won't call it the belt buckle of the Bible Belt, or the Bible Belt of the
Belt
and Road Initiative. But my goodness, it was a main player, and it put everyone else in South America on alert. Like, they aren't working with China is not the best deal. We can't get out of these debt obligations for them building our ports and bridges. So maybe, this is an opportunity to break away, get back and unify the Western Hemisphere. But what it's doing is it's breaking up that Belt and Road Initiative, and that's going to hurt the BRICS. Venezuela was a big player in that.
That's a good way of putting it, the belt buckle. I like that. Yeah, so that's kind of the first chip to fall.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I guess what I hope for Venezuela is this, that with what just took place, that whoever steps in under the new leadership role when the election comes around, we know there is going to be an appetite for corruption. It exists in every country in this world, but especially as it pertains to some of those countries in Latin America, there is such a cultural issue with people looking out for themselves in government positions and not taking care of the citizens. That has to change.
Are you talking about Minnesota? No, I'm kidding. Listen, so the appetite for corruption is always there. What's lacking in the people is an appetite for accountability. When I elect you into an office and give you great authority and great responsibility, I need to be able to hold you accountable when you abuse it. So when I look at the Fulton County, for instance, right now with these ballots, I'm with Janelle King on this. What do you mean we're not going to do anything? Water under the bridge. We've got to look at this. And I hope it comes out that, hey, it was spot clean. I really did secure my vote that year. That's the first time they changed the stickers.
Yeah.
Right? But there is no other mechanism, no greater mechanism for us as a people, if we're going to be a government by the people, is our power to vote and hold people accountable. And if we stop doing that, then what's the point?
But it starts. So back to Venezuela, it starts with, a fair, transparent election. So they truly know, unlike with Maduro, they truly know that the person that won the election, right? So it starts with that. But also what it has to happen is, let's use Mexico as an example where I've known for decades, any person that is just mildly in the know is known for decades, that Mexico's government is rampant with corruption. Right?
Compromised by drug dealers.
Big time. And even before that, though, even before the cartel was a thing, it was just known that that's what took place. And the best example that I can give you is just anecdotal stories of something as simple as if you got pulled over in Mexico in the 1980s or 1990s for a traffic infraction, you could simply just bribe the officer. That's something you could, I'm not saying you could never get away with it here in the United States, but you would never, ever try it in the United States out of risk of 99.9% of the officers probably would never take that, right?
Yeah.
So in Mexico, that's just an anecdotal example of the corruption that takes place on the lowest level. Then it goes to the mayors and the city council. Then it goes to the governors. Then it goes to the nationwide elected officials. It just happens. Corruption has permeated the government. Not saying everybody's corrupt, but I'm saying there's a lot of it.
It's like weeds, though. I think even our country, we were so big that, yeah, I expect every garden to have some weeds, but gone unchecked. Pretty soon you got more weeds than you've got, real vegetables.
We're not immune to it. That's right. We're not immune to it.
That's what's happened. So going back to Venezuela, I think my hope in the next 6 months is not only that it just turns around and they have a better lifestyle, because you said this on the show last time I was on, that you feel, and I agree, that more conservative values are coming online and people want to get back to those values. We just saw this snap election in Japan. I mean, they went hard right.
Yeah. Costa Rica.
Yep. And so I think that gives hope to the other people and their voices. And, then we can come in and help some of those countries get more democratic.
Look, none of these places, the United States included, are ever going to be utopia where everybody's perfect, where every elected official just plays by the books and doesn't do things that makes us cringe, or worse yet, makes us upset, or worse yet, makes us want to prosecute them, right? You're going to have those scenarios where it's just bad people doing bad things. What we just don't want is that continuation of countries like Venezuela that now have an opportunity to flip the script, build themselves back up, like you said a minute ago, return to prosperity. What did you say? They were the third most prosperous nation just a few decades?
They were the third richest nation in the world.
Think of that.
20 years ago, 25 years ago.
And think of how
all because
quickly
of the oil.
Yeah, how quickly that can evaporate. So
they managed it well, and there wasn't all the grift that we have now.
No. So I'm hoping this is a good, clean start for them, and they can get back on the track. Marc McMain Show, Mitch Swan's my guest. We're going to take a quick break. I don't know where we're going next, but stick around. You're not going to miss it. We're having fun.
John's Supermarket in downtown Monroe is proud to serve the Walton County community for over 50 years. 3 generations of the Thompson family offering the freshest produce, quality meats, everyday essentials, and now featuring Bistro South, a quick service restaurant with freshly made Southern cuisine and ready-to-heat gourmet meals. Always proud to support local farmers and suppliers, John's Supermarket has the best meat in town and tons of weekly specials. Stop by and see them for all the ingredients, meals, snacks, sweets, gifts, and everything in between you need.
Lake Life is the Lake Area's largest award-winning magazine, reaching over 25,000 readers. Pick up your copy of Lake Life magazine today. Get Lake Life free at over 100 convenient locations in Georgia's Lake Country. And keep in mind, you'll receive your free copy with a subscription to the Lake Oconee News or the Eatonton Messenger. Lake Life. It's all about the lives and events in Georgia's Lake Country. Call 706-485-3501 to subscribe. Lake Life, the biggest, the best, and it's free.
Clint Black on the Back on the Blacktop tour.
Walking in the moonlight, seeing nothing but the day.
Experience the country living legend, Clint Black.
I'm leaving here a better man.
Thursday, February 26th at the Classic Center Theater. Tickets are on sale now at ClassicCenter.com.
Saturday night, everything's right with the summer coming.
Clint Black, produced by Pepper Entertainment.
Welcome back, Marc McMain. Mitch Swan, we're talking about all kinds of stuff. Man, I'm losing track. I think I opened with nuclear warfare. We went to China, and then we wound up in Venezuela. Let's come back to the United States here. Let's talk about the economy. Trump is – this is going to be a big deal over, let's say, the next 6 months if there's going to be any positive movement for the Republican Party in the primaries or in the general election, the midterms, let's call it. The economy is a big deal. Americans are feeling squeezed here locally. It's property taxes, it's income tax. I think yesterday I listed all the different ways that we are taxed as not just Americans, but as Georgians. So when you get $1 of your paycheck, that thing is diced up in so many different pieces of the pie that what's left is just minuscule. So
and some of them go on for perpetuity, as long as you own that vehicle, as long as you wanted to register it, as long as you own that house, as long as you have that land.
It's painful. It's painful. And people are feeling the pinch because when you look at the Bidenflation that took place over Biden's tenure and the wages did not keep pace with that, it's startling how your take-home pay is just evaporated. I was looking at something yesterday. I don't know, it was something my wife bought at a grocery store. I think it was just a simple little tiny cake, Mitch. It was something, half the size of a loaf of bread. and the cake I think was $6. And I was thinking I would like to have seen what that price tag looked like 4 years ago. I bet you that was a $3.90 piece of cake, and now it's $6.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, right? But I'm just so we're seeing this, and people feel squeezed. So do you think that the Trump administration can make these leaps? I know what he's doing is working, but it's going to take time to get it fully executed.
Right. There has to be patience with this. And so the midterms remove our ability to have patience, because you have the Republicans want to have the stock market have great historic highs, and you got the other half of the country that wants, economic devastation so that they can come into office, and then after that, everyone will want the best thing for the country, right?
Right, yep.
So here's some numbers, and you said it well with inflation. So the market just went over $50,000 points for the first time on Friday, and everyone's like, yes, we're back. Well, inflation plays into that. If you're a company that keeps raising the prices, like a car dealership or something, you're selling pickup trucks for $90,000, now it's $100,000.
Your bottom line looks good.
Your revenue looks great. Doesn't mean you have more profit, but they're going by revenue. Heck, you might not have even sold as many units, right? Yep. And so then we look at the debt right now going on, and right now they're seeing, we lost an underwriter for auto loans. They just went bankrupt. People are falling behind. They fall behind first on their credit cards, then on their cars, and then on their mortgages. And we know that life's becoming unaffordable. When we look at the stock market too, when it hits 50,000 points, I want to remind people there's really 7 stocks of all in the U.S. that are really pulling the freight on this, and that would be NVIDIA, Microsoft, Apple, Google, Meta, Amazon, tech stocks.
So these are just the big dog tech
and
stocks.
And then you got Tesla in there. They have to operate perfectly for this market to keep going up, because they're kind of pulling everyone else along. But it doesn't mean that those other companies, and how do we know that? We look at the PEs, the price to earnings ratio of stocks today, historic highs. We're talking like 2000 numbers, right? When we were back in the 2000s, just before the bubble. So there's enthusiasm there. There's people buying. There's certainly countries overseas where big billionaires and millionaires are like, maybe things will get squirrely in Europe, and I want to park some stuff in the America's stock markets, because it's projected to be more safe. So that goes on too. Bitcoin just came down. It fell down to 63,000 off of its high of over 100, and that's because Scott Bessent, the Secretary of the Treasury, said, "Hey, whatever happens with Bitcoin and banks that invest in it, we're not going to backstop you. We're not going to bail you out if it goes south." I'm not going to
pull the rug on a little bit.
I'm not going to give you a U.S. dollar for your digital currency. So
well, and I'm going to say something, and this was not. This is a gratuitous plug, because this is your wheelhouse. You and Leslie own Sapphire Wealth Management, and so you guys are very astute as to what's taking place in that realm. And I know that sounds like an infomercial. It's not. You and I've talked about it before, that you're selective as to who you take on as clients, but what you're talking about when it comes to this type of stuff.
So here are some numbers from last week to let you know really what the economy's looking like. All right. So if we went back last week, ADP does the employment figures, and we only created 22,000 more jobs last month, and we were hoping for 45,000. Job openings dropped by 6.5 million. We haven't seen so low job openings since 2009, and that was after the financial crisis. Layoffs right now, 104,000 layoffs has been the most in January, also since 2009.
Interesting.
Now, the last thing I'll share with you, so who are those? Now, I'm going to use a few that actually were in October these occurred. So I'm going to go back a few extra months, not just January, to give you some context and numbers. Amazon, 14,000.
I'm seeing this every day. They're laying people
Amazon's
off
on the road every day in front of me.
So who's getting laid off? Is it in the distribution centers?
Well, you've got them. Then let's go to UPS. They should be just as busy as Amazon. 48,000 laid off since last October in 2025. But it's going across technology, healthcare, finances. And so what do they know might be coming that we don't know? You'd be hiring folks, and I'd see more openings if the economy was legit going to be growing and doing better and expanding by the end of this year. I think they're all preparing themselves for a contraction. So I would tell people right now to get with their financial advisors themselves and look at this. If you're looking at your 401k, you're like, wow, 50,000 in the market. You should go talk to your advisor and say, maybe we ought to take some of this, especially if it's in a tax-free, sheltered environment, and move some of your windfall to make it dry powder. Put it in a money market. So if the market contracts, you can go in. Because as you get old, and I just turned 61, you run out of years
that you can make it up if it takes a hit. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can. You're in your 30s, 20s, 40s. Just keep socking it away. Don't even listen to what I'm saying. But if you're older, I would caution you to err on the side of caution right now, because I think the world itself, many of these companies I just listed are all American, but this stuff's happening globally, so they're preparing too. You look at Volkswagen laying people off like 1,000 or 1,200.
So it's not isolated to some companies here in the U.S.
No, it's kind of like everyone's kind of preparing for a shock.
Marc McMain, Mitch Swan. Mitch, let me ask you this. So if you are, and again, this was not planned, this was off the cuff, just asking a general question. If you are later in life and you are heavily invested in the stock market, whether it be equities or if you're doing mutual funds or ETFs, whatever your investment plan is, what would you say would be an appropriate amount to go? You use the word of dry powder, but let's call it liquid. You know, what would you say would be a smart amount to go liquid so that you can maybe buy back in if there is a dip? Yeah, is there a percent? You guys ever think that way? Like, okay, hey, maybe liquidate 30% of your assets and have that, or 10%, or what's the number?
Well, I hesitate to do that on an open mic, and the reason being is some people don't have their homes paid for.
I get you. Yeah,
do.
Right.
Some already have dividend-paying stocks, and they're not in those.
So it's case by case. Yeah.
What are your goals? How old are you? Are you single? Do you have kids? What's your goal for them? You know, do you have Roth IRAs? But I would say that if you've really, really done well and you have an employer and you're still going to keep working, but you're thinking of winding down, I think it would never hurt you to put 20% into cash. Now, what's interesting that occurred just, and Hayden at our office drew my eye to it, and now we've all learned it, but he saw a really small little article. But J.P. Morgan now is recommending people, remember the old 60-40, 60% stocks, 40% in bonds?
Yeah.
They've modified it. They now want you 60% in stocks, 20% in bonds, and 20% in precious metals.
Interesting. Okay.
Isn't it? So they're going to have to start buying these precious metals to have an inventory to back whatever products they're pushing.
Yeah, because if you buy a silver ETF, that should actually be backed by physical silver held someplace.
Very few are. Now, I will say that Eric Sprott, he is like the Warren Buffett of precious metals.
Okay.
The guy's in his 70s. He owns the biggest mine in the U.S. right now with proven reserves. They're not digging, by the way. He's like, it's too valuable in the ground. I mean, it's proven how many billions of ounces they have.
Yeah.
And you don't want to just turn them on at this price. But he has a few things out there called Sprotts, and they're ETFs. But like his silver Sprott, and that would be PSLV, 100% backed by physical silver.
So when you're buying that fund, there's actually silver that is represented.
It backs it 100%. Where others can say, well, I have enough silver. We're going to leverage. Maybe I have 30 or 40% on hand, and if something happened, then I could get more.
Yeah.
You know?
What about buying physical silver yourself and keeping it, in your house?
I love that idea, but it's a weight problem. 300 ounces is over 300 pounds. I'm sorry.
That's a lot of silver.
No. Yeah. Wait, did I say that right?
No, 300 ounces.
No, 3,000. I'm sorry. 3,000 ounces is like 300 pounds.
Okay.
Like you start to get these big cinder block size things of gold. You don't know what to do with them. What I would encourage people to do is certainly have some on hand. And if you want to buy that, I would buy the silver, the old silver coins, right?
That's what I like. I like the silver
pure,
eagles.
But you get those ones made before 1965. You get the best price for them. They're not pure, but they're still got 90% silver content, and you can, that's what you would use in a barter situation.
That's good enough, yeah.
But I would buy more of those ETFs for that. And then when you make a profit in there, one strategy that many people think is successful, because gold is money. When they make the profit in the silver, they sell the silver and then take that money and instantly buy gold with it.
I'm going to steal something from Tim Bryant this morning. He was saying, when you just did that, it's like, don't make me do public school math here on live radio, 3,000.
Oh, yeah. No, but I know some people that have 300 ounces, and I was thinking of that number, but I did it. One client was thinking about 3,000, and I kind of did the math on it. You're like, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
weight.
Yeah, no, it becomes problematic to contain it all. I get that. Marc McMain, Mitch Swan. President Trump, I hit on this yesterday, he's talking about by the end of his term as president, he thinks the Dow Jones could reach $100,000. That's lofty goals, but as the trajectory has been laid out over the past few years, it's now out of the reach. But I think there's more to this. For this to be all a home run, which if you look at what he's done in just the year plus that he's been president, it is just win after win after win. I get it. It's not without controversy. It's not without hiccups. Nobody expected this to be perfection along the way. But let's talk about this. If Russia-Ukraine gets settled, big if's got to happen. Peace in the Mideast, that is already transpiring before our very eyes. Deal with China, you just said. They're wanting to reach out. They're wanting to make something happen. Greenland secured. That's underway. This seemed like a hallucination just 60 days ago. It looks like it actually is going to take place. Interest rates, economy, and on and on and on. If these boxes keep getting checked off, it is remarkable the movement that he's made and that he continues to make.
Certainly. And that comes out of the rule of 72. So if you get a 7% annual return in 7.2 years, you're going to double your money. So it is very possible. We're going to see the market well over 80, 90, 100,000 during our lifetime if you and I live to our expected ages. But again, some of that's inflation. Some of it's just, we're all into this. Everyone's dropping money every payday into their 401k. So there's that artificial design to keep buying stocks. What I'm hoping for and what I would really support and where I think you're going with this, if we start manufacturing things at home again, remember how Detroit in the 80s, that was the place to live.
Yep.
That place was incredible. We start doing that again. Now I have more companies that we can actually invest in. There's fewer publicly traded stocks today than when I got in the business in 1999 with Edward Jones. There was over 7,000 publicly traded stocks, and I think now it's only north of, say, 4,000 because of consolidation. I can't grow my stuff anymore, so I'm going to buy that. I'm going to go buy Raytheon. And you had all these companies start merging. Meta's buying up all these companies, too, for their own platforms. And what happens is that pool of available stocks gets smaller. But if we grow the economy and get new manufacturing, get innovation again in this country, we might have a whole new series of IPOs, and not just in technology and ethereal stuff.
But actual manufacturing.
Hard goods.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's going back to the semiconductors, going back to the pharmaceuticals, things that we rely on other countries to build. I love American manufacturing, and it's nothing more impressive. I've got some friends right here locally. I had one on the show, my buddy Marc Engelbrock. He and his wife own OmniWorks. They're a machining shop, so they actually produce items from iron, from metal, from steel. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on the elements or the types of metals he does, but he works with a myriad of different stuff. They're a shop right here, just 30 minutes down the road in Covington, and they manufacture goods. And you and I share several friends. Bruce over at IMEC, right?
Sure.
The things that
Great
these guys
story.
do right in our backyards. It doesn't have to be a $10 billion industry. It can be just something simple, right? Just something right in their backyard that they're making stuff. So I love it. I love stories like that. Mitch, we got just a few minutes left. What else are you watching? What else is on your radar that's been making you hot under the collar?
Well, I'm kind of optimistic about all these Epstein files a little bit. We don't.
Hey,
know what
what's
the
up
true
with
story
Maxwell
is.
once again? Once again, she was interviewed for. Now she pleads the fifth. How frustrating is that this is the woman that could lift the veil back and show what takes place, and now she's like, I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah. Well, all right. I'm not throwing shade on her, but I would say, well, chances are if I start talking, I'm going to die just like Jeff. And that's a threat.
Yeah.
By my own hand, apparently, right? But also, if you're going to, how valuable is this information to you? Can you let me go? Because, snitches get stitches, but they also get pardons. So,
right.
maybe that's a way, and dangling that carrot.
So
But,
you think that maybe that's what this is a...
What and you and I talked off, Mike, but I would have moved the Epsteins. When I start looking at border security and getting inflation under control and getting Americans back to work and realigning my allies in the Western Hemisphere, solving the Ukraine problem, all of these things, Epstein would have been not in my top 10 things to do. That's what you do at the end of operations. We won the war. Let's start the Nuremberg trials. Because it's going to take your energy and your focus and that of your staff off of it to be all about the DOJ 24/7 and who's going to jail and who isn't. I want to see all of them go to jail. I want to see most of them hang. That would be awesome, right?
Yep, right.
Because even with Epstein, child trafficking doesn't end with his, client's convictions.
Sure.
And there's more than one island, and there's a lot going on in this country that we want to stop.
And I completely understand your pragmatic approach to this. I think here's what the initiative is, and I did not realize, because again, I want to know. I want justice. Just like you said, I want these people that did this, I want them to pay, right? I want to pay the most severe consequence for destroying these young women's life. I'm going to tell you where the initiative is out of this, and I didn't realize it. My two sons, who are 22 and 24, they're furious. They're furious over this, Mitch. Yeah. And so for you and I, which we know, hey, there's a path to getting to the bottom of this, for that younger generation, this has bubbled to the top. This is more important than the Ukraine war. It's more important than the economy. It's more important than other stuff. They want justice because they're disgusted as to what this represents and that it's happened right under our very noses. And so there has to be a reckoning with this. And
there's such a network. And so I'll go back to 2005. We're rolling up bad guys in Afghanistan and Iraq like crazy because what we do is send in helicopters at night. They roll up the bad guy. We call him a jackpot. But then we grab his phone. And then we go through all his contacts. Then we fly the helicopters over to their places, headshot them, grab their phones, get all their contacts. I want like a justice chain. We call them a kill chain in the military, but I want a justice chain where I start rolling these guys up, and they start singing, and then I get those guys, and they start.
That's
singing.
what needs to happen, and the one woman that could be the impetus for this is her. She's the one person that could start naming names and say, hey, yes, here's a guy that I saw actually partake in the disgusting filth that we had going on.
Right.
And then and she could give 5 names, 10 names, 20 names, and you begin with that. I agree. It's just.
But if we lost ground with China because we were so focused on Afghanistan and Iraq. I don't want to get so focused on the Epstein files that China overtakes us in the world.
I get you.
And becomes a new petrodollar, and we're out.
We have to concentrate on a couple different things at once. Oh, man, we covered a lot today. Did we solve the world's problems in just 1 hour? Did we do it?
But I want to share one thought when everyone cuts out of here. I miss Charlie Kirk. We're all watching that, where that's going to go. But, one of the things he was brilliant at was education through communication. I'm going to bring my ideas, you bring yours, and we're both going to learn something. And I think as Christians, going back to what we opened up with about, doing actions and truth, I think it's time for operation with application. Lead with faith, lead with truth, lead with grace, ratchet down the hate, and let's just try to heal ourselves. And then, this big tribe of America can go on as an entity.
Margaret, something to be learned from that, no doubt. And I appreciate how you opened the show. It's great. I mean, look, we all fall short. I'm not perfect. Sometimes I get wrapped up in stuff. I'm a human being, if it goes in my head, sometimes I can be like Trump. It comes right out the mouth. But we all mean the best, and we want to get things done. Chastity, real quick, what do we have in store for tomorrow and beyond? Anything juicy that we got lined up this week?
Absolutely. Every day's juicy. So tomorrow, though, for the Marc McMain Show, we're going to have Miss Sheila at the Suncatcher Cafe.
Yes, we've got so she is hosting a dinner event to support Sheriff James Hale, the sheriff of Oconee County. His wife is battling a health issue, and she's hosting a fundraiser dinner. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to having her on.
All right. And also, maybe she can help with a reservation.
Maybe she can get me I think she's only breakfast and lunch,
okay.
though.
A great breakfast.
It is a great breakfast, yeah, agreed. Great place to eat.
All right. And then we have Brandon Hutchinson talking all NASCAR 2026.
That's right. Did Jeff Hood set that up?
So, no, Les Lane.
Les Lane set that up. Yep. This guy is a big deal in NASCAR. Big deal in NASCAR.
And then Susan and Ken Boss over at Boss Brothers.
Good buddies of mine. They own Boss Brothers. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep.
Ken's got a great history of Loganville. His family's been there for generations, so I'm looking forward to catching up with them. It's going to be a lot of fun. Mitch, thanks for coming in today. This was a blast.
Thanks, my brother.
Yeah, always make the show better. Chastity, you knocked it out of the park as always. I appreciate you. Folks, we'll see you tomorrow at noon. Be safe.